So here we are in 2017, and we find ourselves with Shoegaze in a great condition, better than ever before probably, and somehow we've got five albums from 5 classic bands that have released new comeback albums in this decade, and we are so, as Shoegaze fans in the Shoegaze community, or whatever you want to call it, we are so lucky at this moment of time, so lucky. And I would just like to do, I was going to call it a comparison video, but I thought that would be a bit harsh and a bit unfair really, you know, since everybody has their own style and everyone's got their own sort of take on the MBV influence, if you like. So it's just a discussion video. I think that's a better word to call it. And so I've got 5 of the 2010s comeback albums from the Kings of Shoegaze: My Bloody Valentine, Ride, Slowdive, Lush and Swervedriver. They've all released comeback albums in this decade, and they're all pretty special. So I'd like to start, I guess I'll start with the MBV one, which I'm sure you all recognise, especially the people who had to wait on the in February when the site crashed. Pretty much this CD here, it brought the internet down, so it's pretty incredible. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people remember that when the internet went down, trying to get their hands on this. Crazy times. But anyway, I'll start with this because this is the first one that came out in the 2010s of the classics and of the classic bands to release stuff. So this is a 2013 MBV self-titled album, MBV Records, and this was really highly anticipated. Obviously in the 90s with the release of Loveless. Well, we start back, obviously they have their Jingle Jangle era in the early 80s, and then Belinda Butcher joined, released Isn't Anything, which is a brilliant, still underrated and underappreciated album, due to the hype of Loveless and the respect towards Loveless. I think Isn't Anything is often forgotten, just because of the album that followed. But you know, Isn't Anything was a real landmark, pinpoint, real landmark in dream pop shoegaze. Really, I mean, you ask all of the bands in the early 90s, and they were all influenced by that album. That's the one that really took it up a level from the Jesus and Mary Chain Cocktail Twins. It was like, Isn't Anything was like the one that took it up a level. And you know, you ask Ride, Chapter House, Boo Radley's, all of it. I mean, they'll just always mention Isn't Anything in the influences. So yeah, it was a stunning album. Then they followed with Loveless, which, you know, many regard as just being the best shoegaze album of all time, and you know, it's definitely up there. I mean, I don't want to force my opinion or anything, but it's definitely up there, and it's, you know, it's a lot of debate, but I mean, it's definitely top 3, isn't it? I mean, it's what defines shoegaze. You know, they built upon. I mean, Nowhere was an incredible album, but Loveless, it was like the vocals were blended in, everything was blended in, harmonies, the whispery vocals of Belinda and Kevin really coming together. It's just like definitive, you know, and the way it's kind of unorthodox. It's like, I don't think there's a chorus on it. It certainly isn't in Nowhere anyway, which is phenomenal. You know, considering how melodic that album is, you'll find there's no, in the best shoegaze albums, there's no choruses, and I think that's the magic of the genre. The fact that it's so melodic, so catchy, but yet there's no chorus, no like sing-along chorus. It's just like verses. It's all about the whole sound all together, just like rotating around, and you know, it's like a journey. It's almost like a journey like that, without being pretentious like prog. You know, it's a magical genre. And so yeah, I've got to review this basically. Yeah, I think it's great. Obviously, what the point I'm trying to make is that Loveless was such a great album. The expectations were through the roof for this album, and you know, did they deliver? I mean, I would say they did. I would say this is a great album. I mean, you can't, if Loveless is that good, you can't exceed it. You can't get any higher than that. You can either equal it, or it's going to be a little bit worse. And I think Kevin Shields did a great job. Kevin Shields and Co. Did a great job of, you know, they definitely, maybe not equal it, but they put out a great album nonetheless. Because Loveless is so great, you know, anything, even if it's a bit worse, it's still going to be a great album. So this is what this is to me. I think it's not quite Loveless, it's not quite there, but it's just below. I mean, it's still, it's as good as all the other ones, you know, all the other big albums. I love the first track, She Found Now. I mean, I love the laid back feeling. I haven't heard a song that makes me want to like lay back and just chill out as much as that one. It's just, it's brilliant. It's like so fuzzy and so everything's so distorted, but it's just like, it's just something that makes you want to relax, you know. It's not like a big rock thing. It's just this droning distortion. It's just brilliant. The tremolo action on it is fantastic. Just hear it all coming up, and from time to time just makes its own sort of melody, and you know, and there's a relaxing. I think there's bits of it isn't anything and Loveless on this album. That's what's so good, because you got like drum samples. I think like near the end of the album you get those sort of drum samples and that, which is reminiscent of like Soon, songs like that, Soon, Swallow, the instrumental 2 song. All of that use like electronic drum beats, and it's pretty erratic really. I think it's Nothing Is, and it's really erratic drum beat, and the guitars are just going blah, 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 blah. It's like the same repeating line all the time. But I think it's really good though. I think maybe that could have a bit more idea to it. I think you could have taken the song somewhere a bit more really, but for what it is, it's great production, it's a great song. But yeah, I mean, you find, you know, lots of melody on this. Yeah, I think it's a great album. It's just not quite Loveless. It's just, but you know, you're stupid if you expected that, because you can't really exceed that album. I think they showed enough new ideas on this, as well as bring up the past. I think there's enough new ideas to make it a real worthwhile listen in the 2010s. Yeah, that's a great album. And if it wasn't for this, then I don't think none of the other albums going to show you would follow. And so I guess that brings me to the Swervedriver album. I wasn't born to lose you, and this came out in 2015, so 2 years after MVV. But like MVV, they actually reformed in 2008. I think it was like a brief reunion, and they just played like Rays or Mescal Head, one of them in its entirety. I think it was Rays. They've done that a few times actually, but I think that was the UK. They've done it in the UK that year. And yeah, also MPV also came back in 2008, but then sort of didn't make an album until 5 years later. And this is the same sort of thing as this, but it took them 7 years later. And it's really worth the wait though. It's a great album. So obviously they released like Rays and Mescal Head in early 90s. Rays was actually before Loveless, so that makes it an outstanding album really, you know, for the sounds they created on it and that style before Loveless. You know, it's a really good thing to do. Is obviously they didn't have Loveless as an influence, so for it to be that good, it's great. You know, songs like Rave Down and the highlight would be Sunset. The drumming is fantastic on that, by the way. Graham Bonner, you are a legend. you know, but the drumming, all of the drumming in Swervedriver is great. All the drummers have been great. You know, all the members are brilliant, but I think the drumming stands out a lot with Swervedriver. Real hard hitting, but also very nimble around the drum kit. And so yeah, they started out with like a grungy. They were a bit more grungy than Shoegaze. They're, you know, it's much more like Dinosaur Jr., Sonic Youth, American kind of feel to those first two albums. And then they gradually, I think it was Objective-C Reservation, and they did Nice Night Dream, and they sort of like dropped the American accent and sort of not really. They didn't really go Britpop as what people say, but it was sort of a bit more British sound to it, I guess. A bit more like neutral and I don't know, just a bit more poppy. It went a bit more poppy. I think that's the key. And so this, I mean, you know, we didn't know what to expect really. Would it be more grungy or would it be more poppy? But I think they've actually really surprised us all, and it's much more shoegazy than anything they've done before, in my opinion. You know, they've really embraced that label. I can tell. You know, there's more effects usage, I think, than their previous albums, especially Raise and Let's Go Ahead. The only like real hard rocker on here is probably like Red Queen's Arms Race. That's the only like that pulsating riff, which is really heavy, and I think he must be using like drop D or something there, DF sharp tuning sort of stuff. And Last Rites is quite heavy as well, but I mean, there's some beautiful tracks. That I think they wrote the most beautiful stuff on this album, like Setting Sun, For a Day Like Tomorrow. It's just a really chill out. I Wonder as well, the last track is probably my favourite. I just love the way it's you just got like a couple of verses and it sort of builds up in sound and all these layers of fuzz, and you can hear the phaser going mad at the end. It sort of just builds up and it makes you keep listening to it, you know, because it's just all these effects that are just like you're stepping on the effects and it's just coming in like layer after layer, like through the song, just as soon as it get more intense. So I really love that one. You've got Deep Wound as well. I love the melody to that. So you know, I think it surprised us all, because the Swervedriver kind of like, you know, out of these bands are kind of like the underdogs really, like, because they're a bit more, they're not like strictly shoegaze, they're a bit more, they've got like a different style, and so it's really surprising to hear them. I reckon they were influenced a lot by MBV's 2013 release. So you know, it was a really good surprise to hear Swervedriver do something that's good. So that's that one. I mean, I don't know if I should do ratings, but I would say probably a 9 out of 10 album this. I suppose I have to do this one now. I would say 8 out of 10 for this, which is still very good, people. Very good. I know it's not 10 or 9, but 8's still good, mate. Remember, it's not Loveless. Right. So next one, I guess that brings us to Lush then. This isn't actually a CD, as you can tell. It's just the Thoughtfulness book, but I have got Blindspot, but I just downloaded it because the CD never turned up for some strange reason, some big problem there in the mail. But anyway, this is meant to be Blindspot. I think there's a picture of it inside. There you go. That's Blindspot there. Black and yellow front cover, and it's just an EP, this one, so this is a bit of an exception. 4 tracks on it, really good. What was it? Lost Boy, Out of Control, Burnham Beaches, and Rosebud. All great tracks. Obviously they're not really pushing forward with anything. It's still their original sound, definitely more of a spooky sound to it. Definitely the spooky album comes to mind when I think of Blindspot. You know, I think it's more of a satisfy the nostalgia of the people who remember them in the 90s, more than them trying something new. It's more a rehash really of the spooky album. But you know, whatever, you know, it's still bands rehash. It's great because all the old stuff is so good. So I don't really care if they stay stay old school or whatever, you know. Because all that stuff's great. You don't need to do anything else. And I really like Out of Control. Like, it's just, you know, they're beautiful chorusy 12-string guitars just really stand out on that track, and melody's beautiful. You know, melody's beautiful with it, and it's got a chorus, and Mickey's voice sounds great on it. The harmonies are great still with Mickey and Emma. I saw them live in Manchester November last year, and I thought it was an incredible gig. I really did. I thought they were fantastic, and I think people should have appreciated them more, really. You know, I think so. I'll give that I'll give Blindspot for 4 tracks. I would say it's 9 out of 10. Well, the next one is Slowdive, which came out this year, last month, in fact, May 2017. And this, just like MBV's album, this had high expectation, and it's a huge hype building this up. I mean, I think it was since like 2014 that they announced basically that they were going to make a new album. So it was a long wait really for this to come out, and there's only 8 tracks on it. That was the thing that stuck out for me. It was only 8 tracks, and I was really expecting a bit more actually. I was expecting a full like 10, 11 track album. But they've gone with 8 tracks, and you know, I think this was a bit of a letdown, really. Sorry to say, fans, but right, sorry, I've got to pause the video a second. Yeah, hold on, man. I'm just doing a video a second. Yeah, hold on, I'm just doing a video. Well, hold on, wait 5 minutes. So yeah, it was a bit of a letdown just because I think they've gone for this modern, pristine sound rather than actually using their talent and creating music, rather than just trying their best. It's more they put too much focus on trying to get this modern sound. I mean, the production's great, but it can be a bit over the top. Like, I find it's all like saturated sort of thing, you know. I think you should have been a bit more like song based. There's songwriting that lets it down a bit, I'm afraid to say. I mean, the highlights are no longer making time, Sugar for the Pill. I mean, the singles are great. You know, they're good ballads and stuff. And I like Go Get It as well. That's probably my favourite of the album, because there's quite a lot going on with the guitars on that one. Some great effects good going on there. The other ones are just smothering the reverb, and they think like that's enough, sort of thing. You know, it's a shame they didn't sort of have more ideas going on and sort of take the songs into different places instead of just like keeping the same like 4 chords all the way through and just smothering it with the reverb. And it's sort of like that would do attitude. That's what I get from this album. But you know, it's still, when I listen to it, I feel, you know, it makes me happy. I think it's good. It's very relaxing, and it's shoegaze, isn't it? It's a defined shoegaze. It's the whole sound, you know. That's what Slowdive have been so great at all the time. Just that pure shoegaze sound. Like when people ask me what shoegaze, I always point to Slowdive, because they just have that pure 100% full-on sound. So, you know, whilst there's limited amount of ideas on here, it's still a definitive shoegaze record. 7 out of 10. Right, last one, which came out this week, is the new Ride one, Weather Diaries. And so Ride came up with Nowhere in 1990, and this was before Loveless, and that was an incredible album. I would say that's a 10 out of 10. The vocals don't really blend in with the music. They've got a bit more of a Britpop kind of attitude in their work. A bit more just a bit more sort of poppy or whatever, a bit more traditional music. But Nowhere was just incredible. The effects, Dreams Burn Down, Seagull. I mean, these are incredible tracks. And they come out with this. They finished on a low with the Britpop era with Tarantula, Carnival of Light, which saw them take a different direction. So we really didn't know. And of course, Andy Bell had been in Oasis and BDI, so more sort of traditional indie rock and roll music. And so when these guys reformed and decided to create new music, I didn't really know what to expect. Like, would they be more British sounding, or would they go back to their roots? Not British sounding. Would it be more like, would it just be a BDI rip-off rubbish, or would they go back to their roots, remember what they were good at, and make a great shoegazy album? And with this, they've done that and more, because they've definitely gone back to their roots. The pedal boards are back out, the harmonies are there. Their live shows have been great, because I've been to 2 already, with a 3rd one coming up this November in Bristol, and which is about 2 hours from Plymouth, where I'm from. So it's my local gig place really. So I've seen Slowdive there, seen Live there. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to see Flying Colours there, but I didn't really materialise. So yeah, great. Lano Point, great start. But they've done more than shoegaze on here. There's electro influences, like krautrock influences. There's Cure influences, and I think it's great what they've done here. And Cali's a fantastic track. Impermanence is beautiful. Weather Diaries as well, the title track. All of the singles are pushed out. I like the way they pushed all the singles at the start of the album. All the singles are there, and that can be dicey, because when people do that, then the rest of the album might be really bad. When you push the singles at the start, it might be, it might be just all filler left on the second half of it. But with this, no, there's no let up at all. It's 5 singles, and then actually 4 singles. One more about 4. Lano Point, Charm Assault, All I Want, Home Is a Feeling. The album kicks off with them straight away. The 4 singles in a row, and that can be a bad thing for most albums. But with this, they really pull it off, because there's no filler. And the album never lets up, and everything seems like a single after that. Even after those 4 tracks, everything else seems like a single. And for me, this is what makes this a 10 out of 10, and the best album of all the comebacks. So that's my opinion. And there you go, Ride Weather Diaries, masterpiece. Gonna end this video here. Thanks for watching, and gaze on.